안녕하세요. 문화체육관광부 장관
Good evening, ladies and
차기환입니다.
gentlemen. I am
시대의
Park
문제에
Min-gu, Minister of the
발빠른
Ministry
해답을
of Culture,
제시해왔던
Tourism and
아시안
Sports.
리더십 컨퍼런스가
I would like to express my gratitude to the organizer for hosting this auspicious conference. With the protracted COVID-19, the whole world is now suffering a lot, especially the contact person-to-person movement have been restricted, and that had a severe blow to the tourism industry, and Korea is not an exception. Korea has been a model case for the virus containment and also the virus responses. However, we were not able to avoid the sufferings inflicted on the tourism industry. The whole world is now moving to a new normal. And the UNWTO, if you look at the Turbulence Declaration, this actually shows the future for the tourism industry and where it should be headed to. In order to have a sustainable tourism, the technology must be tapped in actively, and so that we can adapt to the new realities. And we have to have a strong support for the tourism industry. That was the core content of the declaration. Keeping abreast with this trend, our ministry has actively adopted the new technologies, especially the adoption of the new technology and digital technologies will secure the safety of passengers. At the same time, develop the pleasure for the tourists to enjoy by developing a lot of interesting content. The ministry will continue to keep pace with the global changes so that the tourism industry can take leadership in the post-COVID world. Crisis can be turned into an opportunity for progress and innovation. And in this sense, I believe that the Asian Leadership Conference will also give us a guiding light for us to move, especially the Amport. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the executives of the Amport, and your passionate discussion will give a new solution to the tourism industry. I sincerely wish a big success. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the speaker is on because from our houses we can listen a lot of different noises.
Oh,
What do you
really?
think? Yes.
잡음이 많다 그러는데 막
Quite
여러
correct.
No,
얘기가
it's
들린다
better if
그러는데.
we are all mute and only its speaker and the president will have the microphone on.
Oh, okay. Look, do you
Quite
hear me
correct. And
clearly?
you'll get feedback. Yes?
Did you hear what
Yes,
my
we do.
minister said? Were you be able to listen to my minister?
No.
Oh, minister
What
came
is-
on and said congratulatory remarks. Mr. Park,
No,
Minister Park.
we didn't hear. Didn't
You
hear.
didn't hear? 그 박 장관님 얘기한 거 못 들었다 그러시는데. 그냥 넘어가요? 박 장관님 얘기한 거 들으는 게 중요한 거 한데 이분들은. Well, Minister Park, Minister of Sports and Tourism and Culture, he was here, and he delivered congratulatory remarks for us. Today is a very special day. I thank you very much for joining this webinar. As you know, some of you have been in Korea already and be a part of Joseon daily newspaper we call Joseon Ilbo. It is 100th anniversary, and it's very rare to run into newspaper with 100 years of history, especially in Korea. So, and then they created what they call ALC, Asian Leadership Conference, since 2005. So this has been very, very popular seminar for young people especially. But then this year, remember, you are all invited for the centennial event. But because of coronavirus epidemic situation, they turned this webinar. That's what Director Che was saying. Next year, we'll all see face to face. So thank you. And I would like to, before I hand the microphone over to Mr. Philippe Francois, I am going to introduce very briefly who we are, okay? And I'm going to go to, on the left, I will go to Mr. Kwon Young-se. He's the mayor of Andong. 안동 시장님 인사하세요. Okay, that's him. And then down, Dr. Frangeli, Francisco Frangeli, we all know him. Are you're okay? Everything all right, Dr. Frangeli? Okay. And then
I'm
Mario.
very pleased to meet Mr. Mayor again.
저 시장님 만나봐서 다시 만나서 아주 좋답니다. And then we
예,
go to Mario. He's
권영세입니다.
yeah.
우리 코로나19로 지구촌 모두가 어려움을 겪고 있는데 코로나 시대 글로벌 관광의 새로운 가치를 찾기 위한 안파워트 웨비나에 전적으로 성원과 지휘를 보냅니다.
네, 시장님. 그까지만 말씀하시고 이분들 토론하고 그리고 이제 시장님이 이제 말씀하시는
그래요.
그렇게
예.
하시죠. Okay, thank you. And then Mario is from Thailand, Bangkok. Mario Hardy, president of PATA. And then we go to Dr. Rifai, Taleb Rifai, former Secretary General of UNWTO. So we have two former Secretary General of UNWTO, right? Frangeli and Rifai,
Right.
Dr. Rifai. And then I go to Minister Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism of Jamaica. And then I go, Daniela, you are with the, you're coming from Madrid, right? With the skull. I don't hear you. Okay, very good. And then Elena, you're coming from Belgium, right? The member of European Parliament. Okay, I think I've said enough, and I'm going to hand over microphone to Philippe Francois, and he's going to continue. He's going to have this discussion with all of you, and about 50 minutes later, we're going to invite a mayor of Andong, and then we'll discuss about Andong specifically. All right? It's all yours, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Madam Gu. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be with you. Unfortunately, it's not my pleasure to be with you really physically in Korea, but it's our pleasure to participate in this important LAC conference in your country. And I do hope that within next months, it will be our pleasure all together to come physically to your beautiful country. So today we are going to talk about tourism, the industry of tourism. And obviously, we are in a terrible crisis, and we are going to consider this crisis, but we will consider what's going to happen after this crisis, because we know that it's just a period of time. Obviously, we will blow up this virus, and the life will restart, and the tourism life will restart. How and with who, and what about the markets, what about the investments, and we are going to consider this. And I'm talking to you as the president of AMFIT, but as well as international tourism expert. You see, I am coming from a hotel school, and I studied as a coffee waiter and coffee chef. Like it's very often it happens in our profession. And I made my way up, and I started to drive hotels. And one day, as I'm always curious, still now I'm always curious, and I decided to create my company of consultancy service, but worldwide. And once it happened that I opened a first hotel school, a business school in hospitality management. And then I created 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've been very honored, Dr. Rifai, to very actively participate to the renovation of the National Hotel School of Jordan. That was 20 or more years ago. And I did that in about 15 countries of the world. So I'm traveling a lot, and I'm learning always from one country to the other. So this is why I started to be active in the International Worldwide Association of Education and Training in Tourism and Hospitality, created 51 years ago by UNWTO. And now we gather approximately a little bit more than 700 members from 65 countries. And all these people and organizations are focused on human tourism. Human, I mean training, education, but as well employment and careers. And this is why hospitality groups or organizations like yours or governments are joining us in order to concentrate and to consider human in tourism. So these days are quite terrible with the crisis, and just two figures that we believe nowadays, and I'm talking to the people who are watching it and who are not so aware of tourism in this conference. And so we think that our economy currently is losing approximately 1,000 billion of euros. That's an important amount of money, and the crisis is not finished. And we believe that we are going to relaunch the whole system, but we are going to consider this. How is this going to happen? Obviously, there are investments, obviously there are employments and jobs, and obviously we are all in a big trouble, not knowing if our destination in Caribbean, in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in Americas, how we are going to relaunch this this new industry. So first of all, I'd like to perhaps hand the micro to Honorable Edmund Bartlett. Mr. Bartlett, you are chairing the Ministry of Tourism of Jamaica. You have been chairing as well. I remember that the board of affiliated members of UNWTO. And could you tell us not only what the situation in Caribbean and more specifically in Jamaica, but what are your advices how to relaunch tourism within the next months?
Well, thank you very much, Philippe, Madam Doe, and my fellow panelists, very distinguished panelists. And good morning from the Caribbean and Jamaica. And I suspect good afternoon or perhaps good evening even to other participants from across the globe. It's really my pleasure to share this morning or whatever time of day it is with you all, and particularly to focus a little bit on the subject of the practical solutions for travel and tourism in the post-COVID era. Coming from where I am as Minister of Tourism in Jamaica, and particularly from the Caribbean, which is the most tourism-dependent region on earth. The IDB just came out with a report that suggested there are 166 countries that are tourism dependent. And of that, the Caribbean has 11 of the top 20. And Jamaica is number 17. So what it means is that this part of the world relies for its economic well-being almost exclusively from tourism. In some of our countries, we have dependence of up to 95% of GDP. In our case in Jamaica, it's 34%. Jobs are created by tourism more than any other industry. In fact, 1 in 5 of all the jobs, just about 2.1 million jobs in the Caribbean are created from tourism. The foreign exchange that tourism generates represents more than 50% of the total foreign exchange generated. And the FDIs represent more than 60%. So what we're seeing then is that whether it is that we are feeling a desire for the hospitality industry or not, the reality is that our life is the hospitality industry. So I think you can imagine the dislocation in the region. You can imagine the level of even confusion in several of the smaller island territories when jobs just are leaving people. In the case of Jamaica here, we lost 150,000 jobs directly from tourism within the first 3 months of the pandemic. We're slowly building back, and that's a good sign. But the truth is that the economic situation in the region is perilous until we get back tourism. So having said that by way of a picture as to where we are at the moment, tourism is resilient, and so are we. We're a very resilient people in the Caribbean, and we insist that we're not going to sit back and allow COVID to overtake us fully. We're fighting back, and we're fighting hard. We've developed all the necessary protocols that science requires. We're managing through both science and watching our numbers, and we're pivoting, we're changing, we're adjusting. We are reinventing and refashioning and reimagining tourism. And so we start to look at what tourism is going to be like. How are we going to move forward? What are going to be the new modes of behavior? How are we going to develop sustainability, adaptability, and how are we going to be able to enable real resilience to cause us to bounce back and bounce back fast? The first thing that we believe is going to happen, Felipe, Madam Doe, is that a new demographic is emerging. The psychographic profiles of the market are changing, and we're seeing the focus will be heavily on destination assurance. The focus for the future is going to be on travel to locations, destinations that have a strong health security arrangement, where people are going to feel comfortable that in leaving their homes and traveling to far distances or even nearby, they are going to be safe. They are going to be secure, and they are going to be able to return to their homelands in good form. So we've thought through all of this, and we looked at, first of all, how do you enable such an arrangement to be made? In Jamaica, we established a resilience corridor, and this corridor is a geographical area. Unfortunately for us, we ended up with God's gift of a coastal area with a single highway that runs from east to west of the island. And so 85% of the touristic values of the destination are within that space. And so we were able to develop capacity within that space for COVID compliance. We ensured that all the entities were COVID compliant. We certified them to indicate that they were suitable for having and receiving guests. Within that corridor, all the entertainment and most of the physical attributes, as well as the cultural assets of the tourism industry, are located. And we were able to then develop a technical end-to-end, digital end-to-end entry requirement to minimize the impact of human contact when visitors come through the airport. And that enabled us to have a seamlessness and enable a movement of traffic that was fairly smooth. So we brought in visitors, we took them into a resilient corridor, and we enabled a movement within that corridor that provided for safety. And the third critical area that we looked at was an insurance cover. We developed a program called Jamaica Cares. And Jamaica Cares really is an end-to-end health security arrangement that provides insurance protection for the traveler from they leave their home, wherever they are, through the airports, on the flight, into the destination. And while they are here, if they are sick, if any problem happens with them by way of any issues of any disaster, whatever, they are covered and they are able to be repatriated to their homes. Those costs would have been taken care of by them by way of the insurance cover before they arrive in the destination. I'm making that detailed point because I think that small island states such as ours do have a problem of resources to deal with COVID management. And when we have to bring visitors in on top of the local population that we have to manage this process, it is a huge drain on the fiscal resources of the country. So tourism in this way is helping to manage the pandemic in countries like ours. And it is enabling a better appreciation of the joint and collective responsibilities that all of us have in managing this pandemic overall. So we see that there is going to be initially a change in the travel patterns of people. I think that initially domestic tourism is going to play a big role, that more people are going to be exploring their local cultural assets and enjoying hotel facilities at home at prices that no doubt are very competitive. And then but I want to make the point, Felipe, that the small countries such as ours that have the issue of scale and also low density will have a difficulty to make domestic tourism a driving force for recovery, because we just don't have the critical mass to do that. So for small countries such as ours, it will be an initial challenge. But for big countries, you know, like Korea, like China, you know, like the UK and certainly the United States, this will be a desired and preferred path for a beginning. Airlines are going to have to look at how to reconfigure. We are going to see perhaps a greater call for participation by destinations with airline costs to enable, you know, travel to function effectively. We are seeing already where there is a lot of right sizing, downsizing, and even capsizing of some of the airlines. Cruise tourism is going to be another critical area that we have to look to for early recovery. At the moment, they're very challenged. In our area, the CDC has issued their sail order, but with a lot of conditions. And the cruise lines are being very careful too, that the protocols that they develop comport with the protocols of the destinations that they're going. And so they are being cautious about their own start. The indications are that they will begin early to go to their own little islands, and then later on to develop some competence and confidence to move into other destinations. We think also that there is going to be a change in the market thrust. We are going to see a greater reliance on digital marketing. We're going to, in fact, see a greater reliance on digital experiential tourism. And that's something that we have to consider. The whole notion of being together apart. How do we really make that a truly exciting feature? And I think that finally, tourism is going to lead the way because it has to. It is the most resilient of industries. It offers the best chance for quick convertibility. As the plane lands, it brings wealth. When the ship comes into the harbor, it brings wealth. And it's distributed almost immediately among the small and medium players. I want to close by talking a bit, if you will, about the small and medium players, because they are going to be the ones most impacted. Indeed, they are the ones most impacted at the moment by this pandemic. But the requirement to bring them back into the mainstream of tourism activity is critical, because they represent 80% of the tourism experiences of the world. But the harsh reality is that in the past, they only got 20% returned to them. We have to ensure that this tourism that we are resetting changes that and create a rebalance there, so that there is a greater availability of resources to these small and medium players, so that they can bounce back fast and provide the energy that tourism requires. I want to thank you for allowing me to express these few thoughts. and hopefully we could have further discussions on elements of them. Thank you.
Yes, sure, Mr. Bartlett. Thank you so much, Mr. Minister, for this smart experience and what you're considering as the most important things for the future of tourism, such as the evolution of the market and the values of the market, as well as your very interesting program on Jamaica Cares. From the morning and Caribbean, let's go toward the midday in Europe, and we have the honor to have with us the former Minister of Tourism of Greece, Elena Kontoura. You are as well member of the European Parliament, and you are very committed, very focused as well on tourism and always on tourism. Thank you, Elena, to be with us. What are your considerations about the relaunching of tourism after this crisis?
First of all, thank you so much for the invitation, and I would like to congratulate the organizers as well as the distinguished speakers for their leadership and for their efforts to support the travel, tourism, and hospitality, especially throughout this unprecedented crisis. The ongoing pandemic calls for more cooperation, more coordinated responses, and more practical solutions until this crisis is over and beyond. During my term as Minister of Tourism of Greece, from 2000 crisis, the imposition natural disasters. Already from 2015, I had launched our new national tourism strategy for establishing Greece as a 365-day destination. And along with a very targeted plan, we managed not only to surpass each crisis, is still here, and in some areas, such as in Europe, we are already experiencing the second wave. Although we have encouraging news for the vaccine, we still have a long way to go. And until then, we have to learn to function every day in this new reality. The public authorities, but also businesses, working force, and consumers need to adjust. We cannot put prevention and safety. It's better to prevent and prepare than have to go through another guarantee. From my current position as a member of European Parliament and also coordinator of my group, my political group in the Transport and Tourism Committee, I have made several interventions to the European institutions for a concrete plan to protect protocols for travel and tourism, accommodation, and for all modes of transportation. All travelers should be able to know at any given moment which rules apply. We must absolutely have mandatory tests, fast, reliable, and free of charge for citizens. And we should follow strictly the same set of recommendations for use of masks, hygiene measures, distances, so that we can contain the spread as much as possible. Dealing with the health crisis is not enough. It is equally important to deal with the impact of the economies and the society, and in sectors that were hit very hard. So it's a top priority to protect businesses and employment in tourism with state aid and adequate funding in all sectors and jobs related to tourism, hospitality, and accommodation. We cannot allow millions of jobs to be lost or the business to bankrupt, to shut down, or to be bought and unfair competition to prevail. Another proposal I submitted and was also adopted by the European Parliament is the creation of the first time of a European mechanism for crisis management in tourism, which will handle all future crises, whether it is about health, climate change, natural disasters, or safety. We have serious other sectors in the process of digitalization. But we need a strong transformation for tourism to remain competitive and safe. And now, with all the new technological advances, with innovation and artificial intelligence, we can make and so much more. As we often say, tourism is all about the people, about their well-being and prosperity. from my current position as member of the European Parliament, I will continue to support ideas, cooperations, and action that maximize the benefits of tourism to the people. Thank you so much.
Anna. Yes, focus to the people, focus to human, and focus to the students. And we are very, very honored in Europe to have Parliament people such as you, so motivated and dedicated to the real answers to the crisis. And yes, tourism must be more safe, more environment, and more secure. And thank you for what you said about the crisis management. That should be always taught in hotel school and universities. And we have the pleasure to have with us as well two major organizations, NGOs in the world of tourism. One of them is PATA, with Mario Ardi as CEO of Mario. Is very well known in the tourism worldwide. Is a kind of catalyst for kind of future could tourism be and propose and offers to the world in
both public and private sector. And the private sector, the smallest businesses, the SMEs, all the way to the largest corporations in travel and tourism around the world. Our mission is really to bring everybody together to look at the sustainable and responsible development of tourism. And over recent years, I think many of you probably already know that PATA has also actually brought together thousands and thousands of young students from around the world who have joined the organization, who are now part of the discussions with us on a daily basis. So enough said about PATA. I'd like to focus now, before I go into the solutions, maybe to put things in perspective for those of you who are not from the travel industry, to understand the sheer volume of the impact that this sector, just to give you a little bit of some numbers to keep in mind. The industry has actually reduced in terms of travel in comparison to last year for the same period by 97%. 97% down in travel compared to last year. It's as a scale that not before. The amount of jobs impacted, the potential loss of jobs in the industry, according to Oxford Economics, is now up to 142 million potential job losses in the industry. The potential loss of revenue is $1.2 trillion in the sector. So we can all see, the numbers are really impressive. It's a huge impact. I can feel it. I live in Bangkok and I live in a tourist area, and I see many, many businesses are actually closed. We at PATA with SME small businesses across the Asia Pacific region. Do you understand the challenges that we're facing at that time, which is April? It is already a long time ago. If you think back in April, already out of 500 businesses surveyed, 15% had closed their business permanently with no intentions of reopening in the sector moving forward. They had moved on to other businesses, other industries. 42% of these businesses indicated they had only money for 2 to 4 months, which means by now they're closed. 65% of these businesses had said they had no preparedness plan, crisis preparedness plans at all for any type of crisis. So they were not prepared for something, certainly not for something of this scale. So as I mentioned, the numbers are impressive and the industry is seriously impacted. But I also want to make a point which is really important that Mr. Bartlett mentioned before. When we talk about tourism, it goes beyond just the flights and hotels and tours and activities. Everyone is impacted. The people farming who are producing food that the tourists will consume are impacted because there are no tourists at the moment. The taxi drivers, the entertainment, there are people making crafts in the community in the villages, people looking after the national parks. The visitors who visit national parks are the ones who actually pay for the maintenance of it, but there are none at the moment. So we do have, we do need to recover. We do need to move forward. And you may feel I'm a little bit pessimistic and negative. I'm not. I'm just painting the reality of that we're living in at the moment. With a word of encouragement that I do see a way forward. And the way forward is actually, doesn't appear to be complicated, but we know it's actually not that easy. It is testing at departure, testing at arrival. It is tracing of the people visiting the country. It is the common pass or digital health passport that will actually show that you're either being tested, when you've been tested, by whom you've been tested, and also when the vaccine is available, who has been vaccinated and not. So we can keep track of it and we can gradually reopen. The gradual reopening is also the key. This is not your typical crisis that we had in the past that we, at a flick of a switch, we can say, okay, by tomorrow we can all go back to normal and travel again. This is not the reality. We have to, as Elena mentioned before, we have to learn to live with COVID-19. And then we need to actually seek a gradual reopening between countries that have a good handle on the cases in the respective destinations. So essentially, as we mentioned before, travel corridors, green corridors or bubbles, different places around the world call them differently, but are essentially bilateral agreements between two countries that agrees to reopen travel between the two of them because they feel that they actually have a good handle on the situations. They have good healthcare systems between the two countries. There's a good level of trust between the countries, not only between the governments, but also the citizens and residents of the respective countries. And also the obvious part, and I say obvious because here in Asia, we all do. Wear your mask. We don't have an issue of wearing masks, certainly not in Thailand and across Asia, because before the crisis, we were wearing them already because of pollution, not because of COVID. So mandating that the wearing of masks was not an issue before, and is still not an issue. And for any visitors coming to Thailand, certainly, we do demand that people also wear their mask. Sanitizing, that's an obvious one also. So those are what I call the protocols. And Philip and I had this discussion a little bit earlier today, what are protocols? These are actually the protocols that I was referring to that are required for a safe reopening of travel. And the safe reopening is definitely needed because of all the reasons I mentioned at the beginning. The numbers I've mentioned are actually affecting the economies of the respective countries and are actually making the people who already had the difficulties in living before poorer than they were even before that. And if it continues for an extensive period of time, we're going to end up with some severe challenges in respective countries, not only economically, socially also. So it is important we move forward. The path is already there. There are various countries around the world who have put these practices in place and are proven effective. Singapore, Hong Kong are just about to reopen. And we have many other examples such as Greece and other countries that have actually put protocols that are actually effective. We need to embrace them. And I hope certainly here in Asia, where most of our borders are still closed, that our countries are listening today and are paying attention. And one last thing before I leave, Philippe, what I'd like to really, for anyone who actually is working for a government who's listening today, is we as a travel industry, what we wish to have from you is a plan. Give us a plan that says this is how we're going to reopen, when we're going to reopen, with which destination we will reopen, so that the businesses that work in this sector can prepare themselves They can prepare their budgets for 2021. They can prepare their marketing plans. They can re-employ their staff when it's actually ready to reopen. But without a plan, we're all left in limbo and actually not with little hope as to what we're going to do in 2021 at the moment. So I'll leave it there, and I'm sure we'll come back with questions later. But thank you, Philippe.
Yeah, thank you, Mario. Very rich again, and I understand. Yes, the reopening of tourism will be and should be anyway. It will be gradual, and we need as well to plan this relaunch of tourism. Back from Asia to Europe with Danielle Otero. She's the CEO of Squall International. I've been a member of Squall International a long time ago, but it's still very important organization in our tourism industry. It's more than, I think, 14,000 members all over the world. Very important. And yourself, Daniela, you are from the strategy and of the industry. And now you are, I think, it's from 2016 in the tourism industry with management of Squall International. Would you please introduce yourself and organization and tell us what are your solutions with your 14,000 members?
Thanks, Philippe and Madame Do. Yes, effectively, I am the CEO of Squall International. Squall International is a big travel and tourism professional organization with, like you say, 14,000 members and global presence in over 100 countries now. We are a worldwide organization of travel and tourism operating since 1934. And I am working at the headquarters, which is based in south of Spain. So regards to everyone, and thank you for inviting me to participate in this space for reflection. We have here valuable contribution, data, and experiences of previous speaker. But I want to take, please, as mentioned by the Minister of Jamaica, one concept. In the future, there will be longer maybe trips where leisure and work will be combined as never before. Second, national and regional holidays with outdoor experience will predominate in a short-term travel preference. There will be a boom in sustainable tourism, and there that we have similar opinions today. Technologics will permit to offer consumers the tailor-made experience they are looking for. Travel transforms are improvised tool. Travel platforms are improving the tools for creating itineraries and providing organization with, like you say, 14,000 members and global presence in over 100 countries now. We are worldwide organization of travel and tourism operating since 1934. And I am working at the headquarters, which is based in south of Spain. So regards to everyone, and thank you for inviting me to participate in this space for reflection. We have here valuable contribution, data, and experiences of previous speaker. But I want to take, please, as mentioned by the Minister of Jamaica, one concept. I would like to focus now on a challenge facing us in the short and medium term in the industry, or the tourist industry, which is the process of adaptation to uncertainty. Before the pandemic, the numbers indicate that the majority of tourist companies around, like Edmund says, 80% were small and medium-sized businesses. And that around 30% of the total workforce in the sector was employed in companies with less 10 workers. So don't forget these numbers and this information. So the organization I represent, Scala International, include thousands and thousands of professionals from these small and medium companies. So our challenge now is to provide them with the necessary support and good information in the context of this uncertainty to help them face the crisis in the short and medium term. And it's a challenge, believe me. One of the points we are focused to convey them is to need to rethink, reinvent, or create a new business model to adapt to the new habit of consumers and social relations in the post-COVID era. Products, services, or markets might not respond to the same demands for which they were originally created. So the coronavirus did not change the rule of the game. It changed the game. And this is important to understand. And it is necessary to adapt to a new social, economic, and cultural reality. But the question here is, what now? Many of our members are already working on this stage. Faced with this scenario, we are receiving innovative contributions and new ideas to reinvent their business. And some entrepreneurs are already working to analyze the new reality in order to understand this change or the change, detect new trends, and reconvert their company. To achieve this transformation, government support and access to credit are crucial. And I know that today we have a lot of government represent here around these webinars. So government must focus on initiatives to provide immediate economic support to this group, which are particularly affected by the pandemic. So it is necessary to understand what is happening in order to accept and be able to change the reality of this situation. There are several examples of an intelligent and positive attitude in the face of challenging global moment. Not doubt, fresh air for all. So this crisis is also an exceptional opportunity to transform the relationship of tourism with nature, climate, and economy. The reconstruction of the sector also offers an opportunity to transform it with special attention on the effect on the destination visit and on creating more resilient communities and businesses with innovation, digitalization, sustainability, and cooperation. We know need to be prepared and how to address the challenges and create these new opportunities. And why not? Maybe at this stage, we can do the things better. The war is not ending. We will survive. To offer guests more customization, comfort, and control, even transforming the way guests interact with brand. We will have to live in a world where perhaps the only certain things is uncertainty. So in this context,
attending the conference are able to ask us any question. I don't know if this is possible. Ambassador Do, yes, is it possible or not?
I'm going to ask.
Or just between ourselves?
질문 할 수 있어요? 밖에서? 질문 안 들어와도 돼. 뭐 그냥 okay. They suggest we go on continuing discussion, and
Yes.
we have. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I'm on micro. Do you hear translation? Do you hear translation? No translation?
Well, it is my great pleasure to.
You don't? You don't hear translation? Yes or no? No?
No.
Okay, then let me interpret what he says. 저기 시장님.
mask dance play, which is about to be registered on the World Cultural Heritage Site list. And all of these cultural assets show the excellence of the cultural asset of Andong. We will be having the dance festival with Hawaii masks, and more than 20 countries will be participating in this dance festival. And every year in this festival, more than 1 million participants are joining. Andong is a city with the richest cultural asset in Korea, and Koreans call Andong City as the capital of Korean spirits. To Andong citizens, culture and tourism is the realization of value and tradition and future and the way to communicate with the world. So in this regard, Andong, even though it's a small city, is trying to facilitate international cooperation to overcome the difficulties posed by COVID-19 and to become an international city. We believe that COVID-19 is not only a challenge, but also an opportunity. As you already know, because of the Spanish flu, more than 20 million people lost their lives across the world. However, we overcame that challenge and human civilization flourished since then. And now we are experiencing this challenge in the 21st century. However, as we have done in the past, I am confident that humanity will be able to overcome this crisis and create better civilization out of this. And we believe that the starting point will begin at this webinar. COVID-19 is calling for a new type of tourism industry. And now the friends have to be able to enjoy themselves together apart. And also, people who are senior, they will be refraining from traveling due to health concerns, but more young people will be preferring travels to based on those trends. We are trying to develop tourist attractions that caters to this trend. We also are trying to utilize traditional Korean architecture, and we are organizing various cultural programs that will link traditional values to training for the youth. And we're also converging natural assets such as Nakdong River with leisure contents. And we are also holding various MICE activities such as the cultural forums with the biological institutes and vaccine institutes, and we are leading the efforts for vaccine development. In SK Bioscience Park, we are producing vaccines, and we have organized a task force for disinfection to ensure safety in tourist attractions in Andong. We hope that the tourism industry will return to normal as soon as possible, and in that light, I would like to make some proposals. Well, I believe that we need to focus on global tourism marketing. We need to strengthen cooperation among cities, and the humanity would be able to come up with new types of tourism. And we need to have a network to facilitate space-based tourism. And we also need to create brands to promote cooperation between countries. And we need to take these kinds of approach to deepen our understanding about human beings. And we also need to make sure that these cultural experiences could lead to a global experience. And in order to do that, we need to do more information exchange between countries. And the value of cultural diversity is the biggest fruit and outcome of tourism, I believe. And our Cultural City platform will be a platform to translate these values into actual benefits to the tourism industry. Tourism can make cities more valuable. Tourism can strengthen industrial value through exchange. I believe that tourism is a way to share information as well. And I hope that we will be able to discover the value of culture through tourism. I would like to ask all the participants to have more interest in the tourism industry, and I'm very grateful for all your participation in finding the value of tourism. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. You heard all the translation, right, Mr. Very good. 시장님 수고하셨어요. So now, I again, as you see, the Mayor Kwon is working very, very hard because his town, his city is also hit by corona epidemic. So he's striving how he can put back, but with some different style, different method. So he's
challenged. We don't hear any more about the EU doing any initiatives. I'm sorry, Elena, to say this, but we don't hear about the EU doing anything, or the United Nations altogether. The old system is going away, and the new system is being built from a bottom up, brick by brick. It's going to be a fairer world, a more just world, definitely. I'm very optimistic about it. But we have to see, we have to understand that the old world is going away. This is a changing point in man's history. Like Ban Ki-moon, Francesco Frangeli, I worked in the UN system. We understand it's all about leadership, really. Today, it's up to each government on its own. Each government is acting as if it's its own domain. There is nobody bringing it together at all. There is no way that you could regulate, unify the regulations or the standards. It will take a lot of time, but this process itself is going to build a new system, new world system. Now, why is it the right place also? Because Korea is a very special place. Korea is a place that has proven a lot of lessons in discipline. Your culture, your nature as Koreans is very disciplined. As you said yesterday, Madame Do, Korea did not have to pass through so many agonies that many of us did. You were wearing masks even before there was a corona pandemic. I always remember this when I take my shoes now off before I enter my home. I did that in Korea. To take your shoes off before you enter your home. Korean culture, Asian culture altogether is very respected. That's the new norm. We'll all have to do this. I still remember the days when we used to go on the airplanes. We take out from our cars, we carry our luggage and we go to the airplane. We didn't have to go through any metal detector or take off our shoes or take off our belts. Now it's becoming normal. I think wearing a mask would become a normal thing. Taking off your shoes would become a normal thing. Saying hello to people this way, not shaking hands and hugging and kissing. That's become the new norm. This is going to be the new way of living together. Korea is also very important because it has pride in its own culture, pride and modesty. It's a very powerful combination. You're very proud of what you have, yet you're very modest and very warm. I witnessed this firsthand when I was in Andong, with you, Madame Do, and with you, Mr. Francesco Frangeli. Andong has wonderful memories from Andong. Behind me, I have the picture of Andong, of the place we stayed in. I don't know if you remember this, but we were staying in a place where you don't have no beds. You had to make our own beds. Me and my wife were standing there, fixing our bed. At night, Francesco, if you remember, I had to go to the bathroom. The bathroom was outside. We met you there, middle of the night. You were wearing this very funny T-shirt that I still remember until now. My wife also had some jokes to say about this. So memories are very, very clear and very crisp there. Now, what do we do? The lesson learned are very, very important here. I have 2 steps of advice here. First of all, sustainability is an opportunity, without doubt. I completely agree with the Chinese and I completely agree with what Francesco said. Crisis is an opportunity, definitely. And sustainability is one of the opportunities that we have to live in. Now, this stopping of coming of people from outside to you had made you learn, everybody, how beautiful our nature is, how wonderful it is. We are seeing now dolphins in Venice, believe it or not. I have just with the Minister of Guinea, Mr. Balala, who informed me that the rhino population has doubled the last 3-4 months because people are not coming anymore. There is no more crowds in this place. So this issue of over-tourism is gone and it's going away. People want to see their own space, want to enjoy their own space. So in doing that, I have 4 points to say here. One is the importance of domestic tourism. I completely agree with Francesco. Domestic tourism is not just a matter of need now. We cannot anyhow go into international tourism without passing through the stage of domestic and regional tourism. Domestic tourism is a must. It's a matter of principle. A country that's not enjoyed, not seen by its people, cannot and should not be enjoyed by anybody else. That I believe in completely. I think that domestic tourism is a very important thing. Korea, we need to do that. We do that anyhow. But domestic tourism, you're thinking in a different way, different mindset. You have to speak in Korean. You have to make advertising in Korean language. You have to think of families. You have to think of outlets. Products has to be different. Tour operators will have to train themselves differently. How are people going to take an excursion and go to Seoul? How the people of Seoul are going to go to the countryside, to Andong, and so on and so forth. So domestic tourism is very, very important. It's an opportunity for us to fix it once and for all. Second thing is technology. Technology, especially the digital technology, has changed our life completely. I was saying yesterday to some of our friends, it's not just a matter of meeting like this. It's even a matter of personal values now. I have had my daughter getting married via Zoom 2 months ago. She was in Dubai, I was in Amman. I could not go to Dubai, she could not come to Amman. I was there sitting with the father of the bride, the groom. She was sitting there with her husband, and the priest was sitting on the third line. They got married. So we have to get used and adjusted the issue of technology. In the issue of technology now, I have to say something that's very important, especially for Andong and our good mayor there, who I thank very much for having me carry all these good memories of that place. It's really a very, very beautiful, pure and authentic place. And Korea altogether is like that. There is something called digital nomads. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, if you've heard about it. I think Korea and Andong in particular is very qualified to do this. I'm now speaking to you from the south of Spain. I'm a digital nomad myself, sitting by the seaside right in front of me there, on my right side. I'm doing my work via Zoom. You have excellent connections. You have excellent internet connections. People that want to work can come to Korea and do their work. They would not come for a day or two or a week. They would come for a month or 2 or 3. It's a different kind of tourism. It's a tourism that instead of having 10 people staying for 1 day, have one person staying for 10 days. That's even much better, much more sustainable. I think you should promote yourself in Andong as a place where people can come, reside, and do their work. Because today, no matter where you are, it doesn't matter. I'm speaking to you from Spain. I live in Amman in Jordan. I was in Dubai before coming here. It doesn't matter where I am. I'm working anyhow. And many people are like that. So I think that this is something that you should take advantage of. The third part is safety and security. Safety and security is very important, peace of mind. As we heard from Minister Bartlett, we need to have insurance in place. Insurance is one of the best mind-setting things. You should make a partnership between the private and the public sector. Talk to the insurance companies. Make them give you insurance to come to Korea, to Andong in particular. They would feel much better. You know, you can add $30, $40 to your ticket, to your entry point, to your visa, whatever you want to do. Because visas will have to be rethought about again. And make some insurance package to guarantee somebody, give them a peace of mind. Insurance companies today are not taking anybody with corona. So this has to be a specific insurance, like the one that Jamaica did, which is called Jamaica Care. I think you should say Korea cares and Andong cares. The whole world should care for that. All these 3 elements, domestic tourism, technology, and training, and safety and security, need training and retraining. Our people are not exactly this as they were before. People that work in restaurants now are not going to be waiters only. They have to do packages to deliver to homes. They have to be trained in a different way. So you have to embark on a new program, training and retraining, even the force that is there, the workforce that is there. This is what I wanted to say. These are the 4 points I wanted to share with you. 1, domestic tourism. 2, technology. 3, safety and security. 4, training. Thank you so much, Mayor. And I really carry wonderful memories. I mean, Mrs. Doe knows. I even sent my 2019 New Year greetings with a picture of me and my wife sitting at the door of that wonderful residence that we were in. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madam Doe.
Thank you, Dr. Rifai. I mean, you know, that we did really had a wonderful visit to Andong. And as Mayor Kwon says, it's a small town, but they have abundance of cultural heritage and good food and good people. And I think you're saying, by saying Andong cares, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful catchphrase, I think, because people in Andong, they care. they take care
care a
of
lot.
tourists. So having said this, you know, we've already spent 90 minutes, 1.5 hour flew. So I'm going to give Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to say? 시장님 뭐 하실 말씀 있으세요?
그래요. 그때 안동 방문을 이렇게 해주셨을 때 정말 좋은 추억 이렇게 갖고 가지고 또 그렇게 말씀해 주셔서 고맙습니다. 그리고 또 안동 언제 또 기회가 되신다면 다시 한번 방문해 주시면 저희들이 잘 모시도록 하겠습니다.
As a mayor, I vividly remember the visit that Dr. Rifai and Mr. Frangeli made, and I do appreciate your good recommendation how to guide Andong in terms of sustainability, in terms of care. People feel free, feel good coming back safe, coming to Andong, and I'm in my dire hope that next year, whenever you come to Korea, I hope I'll be able to host you in Andong. Thank you so much for your advice, Dr. Rifai and Mr. Frangeli.
Thank you.
I think we have
Thank
said
you,
it all.
Assistant.
Do you, Mr. President, should I hand it over microphone to you so you say the final words? Okay.
Just one final word, because it was so rich with so prestigious casting we had this afternoon. And just my final word would be about training and human again. And because we need to have this positive attitude, so we need to have a lot of awareness and training with us, not only on vocational, but as well on vocational schools, but as well on business, colleges, and universities. And I invite you to join us within Anfort, and hopefully next year we will organize our General Assembly in Seoul, Korea. So as members, as council,
Epona near Marbella in the south of Spain.
Yes, south of Spain and Madrid, Paris. Are you from Paris, Mr. Francisco?
No.
You're Morzine.
As I
He's from
mentioned
Morzine.
before, I am in the French Alps.
Yes,
in my
French
village.
Alps.
Morzine.
Okay.
and I'm in the
Whenever you
northern
want to find a very good place for mountain tourism and for skiing,
Okay.
you will be
Beautiful.
welcome to Morzine.
All right.
Beautiful place as well.
Au revoir. Good night. Thank you
night.
very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you
See you
soon.
soon. Talk to you
Bye.
soon.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
Mario.
you. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.